to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. I'm sure you missed all of us over this last week. We are back with episode number 354. Thank you for everyone for supporting us as we took our adventures to Pax. We will talk a little bit about that in the beginning of this episode, but not until I introduce everybody that is here. So, first and foremost, Punchinello is here this week.
Hey guys.
Hello, Punch. Mitch Cereal Box is here.
You're like doing the intro so much slower than normal.
I'm just trying to ease the new listeners into this because I'm sure we have quite a number of you from PAX. Brent Talanasty is here as well.
Hey.
Hey, Brent. And finally, Chira Jaden.
What's up?
Chira, Mitch, and I, we all descended upon Boston, Massachusetts this last weekend to take on Pax East at the, I don't even know what the name of the convention center is. Is it the
Boston Convention Center will probably clear up any. I don't know if it is, but if there's more than many of those that are that size, then I'd be surprised.
That's true. So, for those of you that went there, thank you so much for coming out and saying hi. We met quite a number of you. Gave out swag. We gave out buttons. We gave out cups, and we gave out pens. Well, we found that a lot of you enjoyed, wearing the buttons around, have the cups. I hope if you're out there right now drinking out one of those T-Force cups that you're thinking about us and telling everybody, preaching the good word of it. Please pass us on as we have plenty more of them. As well, if you are a Patreon subscriber, we're going to be talking about sending you guys some dice for this next month because it is, by the time you get this podcast, you might have 1 day to sign up if you already signed up. So patreon.com/T-Force Network. We bought 2,000 dice that didn't actually make it here until Monday. So we're probably going to toss some of those in there and give those to you guys, as a thank you for signing up. So $5 and above, you'll get a die. You'll likely get a die. We just have to make sure we can lick that many envelopes. Or Mott is
we
ready
send
to
more than
envelopes.
one because, if we send one single die to 200 people,
sure,
that's not even going to be worth it in terms of getting rid of our stock.
I'm not so worried about getting rid of the stock as I am. Just
I meant
people
the postage
swag.
on you just wrap the die in the stamp and then just send it. Does that work?
You could totally, absolutely.
Yes.
It probably
you gotta write. Well, yeah, I think you have to kind of write the address it's going to as well. But
just stick it in an envelope, put it on there. So we're gonna look into doing that. Hopefully get those out. For those of you also Patreon subscribers and are looking for the Champion Select episodes, I'm going to say this is my heartfelt apology that they were not out by the end of April. We are working really, really hard to get a couple guests taken care of. Mitch is hopefully talking to the Mordekaiser guy.
My head is going up and down for those
enthusiastically
who are not watching. Yes, I'm the one who should be apologizing, but we have people lined up. We just need to set up times, and
Awesome.
We will get them out to you. And I'm also in town these next 2 weeks, so those are the times when I can record multiple at a time. So if we get the guests, we will get a couple extra ready, I guess.
Right. If for those of you that are wondering, why are they only come out at the end of the month, or why did they come out in April? Honestly, we don't have a really good excuse other than the fact that we had a couple people beginning of the month. They fell through. PAX ate up a ton of our time, and I know Mitch was out for a couple weeks. Days has been out. I mean, it was a culmination of a bunch of crap that happened, and I'm really sorry that they didn't make it out. But if you signed up for April, you're getting your Champions Select podcast. We're not going to skimp and take your money and run because you deserve what you paid for, and you will get those, and we'll try to make them up to you the best we can. I know we have the number one Mordekaiser in the world right now. Mordekaiser only, Masters level 100. What do you say?
Man, how many jokes can you make about that? How many jokes will he make about that?
Wait. I hope a lot.
Enough.
Yeah,
that was the first person we talked to at PAX because he's waiting in line with a sign that says number one Mordekaiser in the world, 139 LP master tier, and his Twitch stream. And we're like, all right, well, I guess we should probably talk to him.
I just ran up and handed him some swag and said, "Hey, you want to come on our podcast?"
We were a little aggressive with our swag handing out this weekend.
Sit around the
Take it.
U-Law. Oh, we were out on the U-Law booth, and or the stage, and we were just walking up and down the rows like, here, he wants some swag. Do you guys listen to the podcast? You want some swag?
The best was during the room before the community panel thing.
Oh, right.
Where we're just like, hey, who wants stuff? And then immediate swarmage.
Nice.
Yes, it was awesome. Please, two things. One, if you haven't already gone to trinityforcenetwork.com, please go there on your mobile device, as it is now mobile ready. You can download the podcast. It's got a nice little hamburger menu or hot dog. It's more of a hamburger than it is, because you click it and it comes down. It looks like a hamburger. There's layers. It works on all your mobile devices, or at least it should. It works in Chrome and Safari. If you're using one of those native, sorry, dog is going nuts upstairs. If you use one of those like native browsers, it might not work as well. So use Chrome and Safari, which most people are using. As well, trinityforcenetwork.com looks different. The featured looks better. The posts look better. It's more organized as well. We have all of our PAX East coverage there. God damn, my dog is going nuts. I apologize. I can't think when she's.
I mean, we have lots of videos for you guys that are ranging from interviews with different people. Mott took a GoPro around the convention for actually most of, I believe, Friday or Saturday.
Yep.
And then we have a couple of games that we are starting to. Sample's not the right word, but at least put out a little bit of clips from us starting to play them that we either found at PAX or were turned on to by people we met at PAX. So that's going to be kind of, I think, in tandem with T-Force GG.
Yes.
And I think they'll be doing kind of the same thing. So a lot of stuff from the weekend and coming soon.
We're working with, so we got 20XX, which if you like Mega Man, you need to go check that game out. It's fucking awesome. We got a T-Force GG first look coming out for that. By the way, guys, T-Force GG is our general gaming podcast, if you didn't know. We have a lot to catch on. We haven't been up here for a week. So if you want right in the mid-season stuff, jump to like 10 minutes. We're going to be putting a first look up for that.
You said 7 minutes in.
Right. I think most people understand by now, jump 10 minutes in. As well... Oh, there's one other cool thing. It's an Oculus Rift game that we played called Swing Star, and we're going to actually get a sample demo of that game. And Focal on the T4CG podcast is going to use that and write a first look, about it. And so that's really cool. He's got an Oculus Rift, so if you guys are interested in VR at all, go check them out in the next couple of weeks. So that's it. That's PAX, guys. Please go check out all our coverage. Thank you for helping us get out there. We are full steam ahead with really planning out all these next conventions. I don't know exactly where we're going to be going, but we are planning right now. And hopefully within the month we'll have an idea where we will be at, how many will be there, and who you can say hi. And thank you to. So, Tally, Punch, are you guys ready to jump back in the podcasting scene?
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose so.
You guys have been out for a week, haven't been doing anything. Oh, one last thing. The Just Okay Gamers, like Chira and I, at the end, sat down and had a podcast with it. You guys should have already had that in feed and listened to it. I apologize for the kissing stuff at the very end, or the mouth fighting. Cause
I apologize for nothing.
I apologize for missing that.
I know you decided to go do something with some developers and get a free card game, which, that's great.
Yeah, I did, which is awesome. But I missed out on kissing, so.
So fill me in on this mouth stuff.
Yeah, what was it? Anytime that anyone
phrasing? There's got to be a big phrase in there.
Well, no, that's exactly what it was.
I can't remember what it was. Anytime someone mentions mouth or something,
It was mouth fighting.
Yeah, or they said there was a keyword and they were like mouth fighting. And yeah,
all I know is I was very uncomfortable at first, and then I slowly became aroused.
You just go listen to the podcast if you want to know about it. You got to listen.
My typical Friday night.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about mid-season update, because you guys are here for League of Legends. You guys are not necessarily here for general gaming. You're here for League of Legends. Oh, more League of Legends. Go check out the Riot Scarzard interview as well. And Andy Belford, Riot's Will, and Dylan Most Dirty from League of Legends. We interviewed all three of them, or I did. And we talked about League Community Podcast. We talked about being a developer behind the scenes. The Riot Scarzard interview was really, really good, because that dude just fucking talked.
Yeah, he was good. He was very good. And then I guess some people were mad because what did he say? Oh, that
irrelevant things.
That he dares suggest that they make a post to address some of their changes in the off season. Was that what they were mad about? I couldn't figure it out when I read the Reddit comments.
People were mad about solo queue.
Oh, well, screw them.
That's all it was. The people are mad about solo queue. They're mad about the air drag.
About what he said on your interview, or just in general?
Just in general. People. It was like automatic. People didn't even. It was within minutes of me posting the interview on Reddit. People were like, "Fuck Scarzard, bring back Morello. Fuck this guy."
So they didn't watch it.
Hey,
okay.
and for all of you listening who say "fuck Scarzard, bring back Morello," you were probably that same asshole who was saying "fuck Morello, we won his head" back when Morello was running the same shit. So relax.
all those same people are the people that are going to continue to pump money in this game and play this game.
Yeah, how many thousands of dollars have you spent on this game?
But it's really cool. So if you guys, something for that you should all know if you're not going to watch the interview is that these mid-season and post-season updates are going to happen every single year from here on out, and Skarsgård confirms that they are going to shake it up. And there's even going to be some like crazy patches around World's time and everything. It's really cool. Just go watch the interview for all that. So mid-season update. Let's talk about it. Lots of changes have gone through. It's essentially the Mage update has gone through, and there's some updates to the overall gameplay of Summoner's Rift. Turrets, Rift Herald, and Elemental Dragons being the big three that we're going to see. There's also some item changes coming in with all the Mage items are being updated, and there are some, I can't say smaller items, but non-Mage items that are being updated, like Ginsu's Rageblade Devourer has been removed.
Yes.
Which both of them needed to look at, but I'm still upset that Devour's being changed dramatically, and then...
My eyes are dry.
You mean back to
No
season
tears.
1?
Yeah, well, they just nerfed the shit out of Udyr, and then they're taking away the thing that made him... Well, one of the things that made
Well, that
him
was
strong.
Runic Echoes.
Well, both made him strong, and he was a problem before Runic Echoes, too, so it's just kind of sad to me.
But tonight, specifically, we are going to talk about the Mage update. We're going to try to hit 4 of the bigger champions. Well, not necessarily the bigger champions. There's 2 that are bigger, and then we're going to go down from there. So we're going to start with Malzahar and Zyra, and then walk down from that ladder on down to the rest of the champions. And then you are getting another podcast this week from us. We're going to be recording later this weekend to talk about some of the items, or some. We're going to talk about the bigger changes in the items, and then we're going to swing back around next week to recap the champions and items that we missed. So you're looking into about 4 episodes out of us for this mid-season update, and then I'm sure it's going to be kind of straggled and then walk through, because we still got to talk about Elemental Dragons and everything.
Get nothing.
Then it's over. Then we close shop.
Yeah,
I want to test a little bit more with the global changes, like actually play games that have those before we talk about it. Because me and Pally got to talk a little, or play Malzahar and Zyra just before this episode, so at least have a better idea of what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's talk about it. Cyril, do you want to lead the discussion?
Sure. Let's go with Malzahar first. Malzahar, Tally got to play. It seems like he might be switching to a more minion-heavy role, whereas if you listen to Champion Select podcast with Malzahar, you would know it was an AD jungle Malzahar. This kind of seems like it might be happening for real, but without pigeonholing it into the AD kind of role. So his passive switched. It's no well, let's go to the W first. W now spawns voidlings, whereas previously it was his passive. You need to cast a certain number of spells, and then you'd pop a voidling on your next spell cast. His W is now Void Swarm. It 60 mana, cooldown goes down with level, but it summons a voidling that lasts 12 seconds to fight nearby enemies. So the weird thing, and this is the thing that's going to make him really good in the jungle, is that the first time a voidling attacks a champion or monster, so I think it only counts as large monsters. I don't believe it counts the smaller ones. Or assisting killing a unit, so it could be a smaller one. Malzahar spawns a new voidling with the same remaining duration. When 3 or more voidlings are active, they all gain 50% attack speed. So what that means is that
5 voidlings, right?
4, I think.
I don't know. There's no number that's listed there. But I think just the way that the timer kind of works, because when you spawn an extra one, it keeps the same amount of duration left. It doesn't spawn with full time duration. So otherwise he'd be absurd
in the jungle. But
yeah, I think
that was only early game, so maybe later game with some CDR, maybe it comes up. I'm not sure.
So what I
20 seconds it comes out. That's 1. You can get 5 voidlings out. You can get 4 voidlings out before it's all done. 4 to 5 voidlings out at like rank 1 or 2. Or they last for 12 seconds.
Max I got in the jungle was 4, but I only played to like level 6, and then we switched and tried another custom game after that. So
yeah, sorry, I was saying 20. It's 12. You're right. You can get 4 out with 12.
Yeah. So the interesting parts of that is that you try to kind of balance a little bit of the damage you're taking so that the voidlings don't die. Like the first, like you can trade off hits with them. You want to manipulate them to get more of them early, so that they frenzy, so then they attack faster, so you get more of them. It compounds on itself, and it's really interesting because it now they used to only scale off AD, I believe, and now scale off of they deal physical and magic damage, but it's 0.3 to 0.4 as it levels of your AD.
That they
in
only
physical
deal
damage.
physical damage.
No. They deal that 0.3 to 0.4
plus
AD
magic
physical
damage.
damage plus
Yeah.
10 to 30 plus 0.1 AP magic damage.
So if you're building AP, they do magic damage. If you're building AD, they do physical.
No, they do both,
Hey.
no matter what.
yeah, they'll do
Well,
both.
yeah,
but-
correct. But if you have 500 AP, they're going to be mostly doing magic damage. If you have 300 AD, they're going to be mostly doing physical. I'm saying like if you're going against AD Malzahar, you can itemize against that. If you're going against AP Malzahar, you have to itemize against that, even though it's all coming from the same thing, aka a la the void.
They're only doing physical damage if you've built any kind of AD. So
Yeah,
I kind of wonder if you wouldn't run any kind of like attack damage runes to start out of the jungle to try to like make the clears a little easier for the first few levels.
Maybe hybrid pen.
Well,
would
pen doesn't
scale
give them
better.
extra damage because they're not doing physical damage unless you have an AD ratio.
Honestly, I didn't really seem to need help clearing. I didn't have a leash, and I didn't even have to use all my potions to get a full level 6 clear.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I just had flat armor, hybrid pen, and then flat AP for blues and quints, and I actually started the wrong spell, and I still full cleared without using all my potions.
They do triple damage to the lane minions below 25% life too.
So they help. Yeah, that helps you execute them, and then if you get obviously a kill on a lane minion, they spawn another one. So then it's like a snowball sort of pushing power.
Yeah, so you get that. That's kind of the top lane idea that I think was starting, because you can just, if you time it right and the minion and you get a voidling that assists and start in like, I don't know, the caster wave, even with malefic visions too, active on them, which is staying the same ish. You could just clear like 3 minions real quick, and suddenly you've got 4 voidlings, and if the enemy champion didn't realize that was about to happen or doesn't know what he's doing against new Malzahar, suddenly
He's gonna
has
be
The
swarming.
malefic potions go on them, and then yeah.
he's gonna be a sad boy.
He's gonna be a very sad boy. So the other small things, which actually makes sense that I hadn't seen this and we were talking about it, will not spawn an extra voidling with less than 4 seconds left, which is why that gets capped right before the end of its life. So you can only spawn for the first 8 seconds of the cast, which is interesting. It makes sense, so you don't get like a ton right at the end, because you'd have 4 voidlings that are all attacking and like trying to finish something off.
You don't get 8 that last for for 1 more second, and you burst them or something like that.
Yeah. So the other changes to Malzahar, the other big one. So his Q and E got kind of messed around with.
Something to note about those voidlings is it looks like you can tell them where to spawn. It's a circle. Because the voidlings cast spawn range is increased to 450 from 300, so you could spawn them where you want them.
Yeah, it's an on-target spawn. So I believe you do get to place the initial one. I don't believe you get to mess with the extra ones spawn pretty much on top of the previous voidling, I believe, which is what I was seeing from, I think, Stonewall's video. But
they seem to pretty much stack like I was doing in the jungle. They just kind of stack on the large monster that you're attacking.
Yeah. So the other changes, his passive actually got switched up, so we talked about where the minion spawning went. His passive is now, this is weirded really interestingly. It looks like they just threw it in there and are going to fix it up later. It says when he hasn't recently taken damage or been crowd controlled in the last 24, goes down -1 per level seconds. So it goes down from 24 to 6. It starts at 23, my bad. Malzahar gains 90% damage reduction in crowd control immunity lingering for 1 second after taking damage or blocking a crowd control effect. So he gets like a Malphite shield, but it's like Banshee's Veil, kind of. Like you block it's kind of like a Banshee's Veil shield. It's kind of weird, but you
Kind of like
have
cleanse.
yeah.
Kind of like a cross between the two, because doesn't cleanse linger for a second too after
You get
you use
Yeah.
it? Right, it gives you reduced.
Well, this crowd
amount.
control immunity lasts for a second. Cleanse, you cleanse the CC, and then you have
okay, so never mind
like
about
basically a beefed up tenacity for like a second and a half
Yeah.
after. This is almost like 90% damage reduction. That's like an Alistar ult for your first spell that gets
Any
like
initiation.
and the initiation. So I could see this being very useful. Malzahar a lot of times would get blown up after like trying to walk through a bush, and LeBlanc would just blow him up one combo, but that won't happen anymore. I mean, her combo usually happened in less than a second, and then you're reducing 90% of that damage, and you're gonna not get like CC'd or stunned.
Yeah, or any jungler gank that tries to catch him out, like an Amumu bandage toss. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the laner will have
goes
to.
in and then immediately ults. He still doesn't give a shit.
That's great.
That's
You just
fine.
have to deal damage to him first. If you deal any
Yeah.
sort of damage, that
So
breaks that.
So the laner's got to set up your gank a little bit by just harassing with one auto attack or one spell or some AoE, I assume. Or the jungler has to go in and, hit you with some AoE and then use his burst and then use his crowd control.
And then as Malzahar, I assume that if they're going to do that and you don't have vision, you're probably going to back off. If you do have vision and they're just popping your passive, then you're going to want to heavily harass every time because you're going to win that trade. Mm-hmm. You're taking that 90% reduced for the first hit and the second afterwards. So, I mean, trade as much as you can.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to test this out that much because we didn't lane that much, but it does seem very strong. But 24 seconds is a long time in lane to not take any type of harass.
I mean, it's like a mini Banshee's Veil that scales down in terms of you have to not take damage.
But even Banshee's Veil, it only covers like the one spell that hits you, not the one spell plus one entire second is like a lot of burst can happen in 1 second. That's an entire.
No, I mean, I
combo
just
for
meant for
most
the
mages,
keeping.
Yeah.
I just meant for getting it back up, and it apparently does
getting it
not.
back up?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
The lane
What is it,
minions
30
don't.
seconds or something?
Banshees, I think, was 30. Or it used to be 45.
It used to be longer.
But so lane minion damage doesn't affect this. So you can take damage from lane minions, and it won't either proc the passive, so you won't automatically lose that 90% that you were hoping to save for a champion gank, and it won't prevent you from building up the countdown to getting it back again. So nice to note, so that you don't get screwed by lane minions.
Shouldn't be too hard for Malzahar not to take poke though, like unless he's going against a ranged champion. But I feel like if the Malzahar plays it correctly between his voidlings and his malefic visions, he's going to be harassing the hell out of you.
If he has the lane control he had before, and it looks like he will.
He should. I mean, malefic visions works the same way as it previously did, right? It pops and bounces.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then your voidlings also just massively spawn once you start that snowball of minions.
Yeah. So the other changes, because they tweaked down his Q and E damage a lot. They're still very similar. Like they do the same. You might as well consider them the same ability. Cooldowns have been reduced, I believe, on both. Cooldowns laid down on Q, so down to 6 seconds. The silence is down from a max 3 to a max 2, so you're not nearly as oppressive with it. But again, you have it up more. The bigger change so passive W, and now the other big change is where did that void pool go that you always threw down with your ult? Well, now it's actually part of your ult. So you only suppress, you don't deal base damage with your ultimate anymore, but it creates that void zone that deals 6% plus 1.5 per 100 AP of damage and magic damage of enemies' max health per second for 5 seconds. So you suppress somebody for 2.5 seconds, half the duration of that pool. You kind of essentially combined what the combo was anyways with Malzahar. You made it easier and took away the flat damage in return for it. Mm-hmm. So, but then you also now have all those voidlings are attacking that person.
Yeah, it still requires setup.
It's kind of funny because you used to use the void pool as the W and you WER'd. You're still pretty much doing that combo. You still want to W right before you R, unless you already have like 3 or 4 out. But you still pretty much want to W and then R, so because it'll start attacking the champion, then they'll start multiplying while they're suppressed.
Right. So something we did skip over here with Malefic Visions is that the duration now refreshes if Malzahar uses Q or R on the target.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So if it's about to drop off, you can Q to get the last
To
hit,
immediately get it back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and it'll start bouncing again.
Yep.
Well, no, it doesn't bounce. It's just refreshing. Like if it's on a champion and it's about to run out, they're not close to dead. If you hit them with Q, it'll go back up to full duration.
Right.
So,
But I'm saying more for like if you put it on like a
if
cannon
you
minion, put it on a cannon minion, Q it, it'll refresh the duration on the cannon minion, and then continue to kill the cannon minion and jump off.
That's
So you could
cool.
start the push with your E, and then if your E's not back up, you could refresh the push with your Q, and then maybe your E's back up, and you can keep it up. I don't know.
That seems like an early game kind of thing, just because I don't know what you're maxing yet. I have absolutely no clue what you'd max in lane. But if you early on, you're never able to clear with a full 1 Malefic Visions. Now you might be able to pretty easily.
Well, I think the refreshing on the ult's going to be really useful too, because the last thing you'd want to do is ult when they're not already have the visions on them. But if you ult them and it's on them, it's about to expire, and you ult them, it'll refresh it, and you won't have to worry about waiting for that timing.
Yeah, that's really nice. I like this. I like this Q change. I like it because playing Malzahar, the waves that hurt the most early game were the cannon waves because you had to use extra mana or spend extra auto attacks to push that cannon minion down because that has so much extra life. So being able to Q the minion to essentially your E with a couple of points in it early would take a cannon minion down to about half or 3/4, or about a quarter life rather. Take it down 3/4 life to a quarter life, and it needed that extra little push or oomph to get it to bounce to the next minion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be seen on him. I think he's probably the biggest variance from pre mid-season update to what's coming now. Even though people were already playing him jungle, I think this is going to be he could go a lot of places with it.
It looks pretty good. For the first time, I actually have an inclination to try Malzahar. Never have before
this.
Yeah.
Well, Malefic Visions, the damage has been significantly lowered at max rank. It's down 100 damage, just base at max rank.
I'm thinking that's just going to be... I think it might end up being a 1-point wonder, which is weird because it's not as of right now. Live Malzahar, I think maxes E first, so you can just push for days. But now you could put 1 point in, get the same damage you have previous, as live, so that damage hasn't changed. You get potentially a better heal or a refresh on your mana because it's now based on percentage of max just from 1 point, and then you just max W maybe, and you're lowering the cooldown on W to get it down to where you only have 8 seconds or 4 seconds of no boiling at max rank, and just push with that instead, which might be better. I honestly don't know.
I think that the damage being lowered can be warranted by the fact that what you guys mentioned, it can be refreshed. And I think the new W is much more reliable damage than the old one because you don't have to, your target doesn't have to stand in the null zone to take all that damage. And the Voidlings, I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but they will actually prioritize people with Malefic Visions or the ultimate on, and they have 100% increased movement speed. So if you stick that Malefic Visions on somebody and you got Voidlings out, they're going to charge your target, and then you're going to get a lot of damage off of that.
Interesting thing to me, I just did some math on it, is if you have 40% CDR, your Void Swarm lasts for 12 seconds, but the cooldown's only about 10 seconds. So you could have 4 and then maybe another 2 out, or do they disappear? Because
but you also have a smaller window, don't you?
You only have a 2-second.
4 seconds.
Yes, but those 4, you'll still have 4 up at the end for an additional 2 seconds while your W's back up for 2.5 seconds. So then you can spawn another one. And
there'll be overlap. You can spawn another.
Well, I'm saying there'll be overlap where you'll end up having 4 or 5 from your first cast, and then you cast the other one that has a second or 2 to stack up. So at one point you might have 6 or 7 out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just confusing the duration with the actual cooldown.
Yeah.
He's gonna be interesting to see on his. If you max that, I think your objective control goes up by a significant margin because you could just go people were able to solo Dragon at level 3 with him right now, with this change. And it looked fairly easy. I think I could probably go do it right now, and I don't play Malzahar.
And anyone can do it then.
Yeah.
Also, if you're putting an E on Dragon, and then it's about you have to keep good at timers with this now because you can E a dragon, then Q the dragon is about to fall off and continue to get the damage. Now, the Call of the Void is 6 seconds. How long does Malefic Visions take? It's 4 seconds. Okay, so you need some cooldown reduction to keep that
100%.
With max CDR, you could.
Yeah, on cooldown.
Yeah, if you hit Q on cooldown, just constantly have it going, constant Malefic Visions.
Oh, that's disgusting. That's great.
It's
I love
really
it.
good.
Could be.
He's gonna be so scary if they don't change something between then and now.
The only thing I see them changing is maybe some of the damage on W, but the damage on W isn't that overwhelming because they at rank 1, right? They only do 10 damage per hit, but then they start hitting more quickly after they enrage.
Mm-hmm. Well, you still got the AD ratio is still pretty good because it's a total AD, so you're getting let's say conservatively he has
17 from the screenshot.
50 AD, yeah, 17 damage is still pretty good. That's you're still doing 30 damage a hit without any AP. Fuck, that's so much damage. Oh my gosh. All right, well, Hey, we've got a bunch of other.
Well, no, that's fine.
But that's the biggest one, I think.
Yeah, that'd be
Anokin,
interesting.
Anokin. I can never say your name. I apologize. He wants to know if the R is nerfed overall. The RW combo.
Damage while yes, definitely. That damage is way down because it's
percentage of max life rather than a flat amount of damage.
Yeah, and I mean you kind of could consider having both.
6% of their max HP per second for 5 seconds.
It does anybody who stands in that zone, right? Because it says
Yes,
nearby
it does.
enemies.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of stuff with that.
Yeah,
It
it's hard to
works with
say. It's hard to say without seeing like a good Malz that's comboing this with 5 or 6 Voidlings too, because that's your new W. The RW combo is different than what it used to be. You used to have to smartly stack up a couple and then do your combo, but now you just spam WER, or if the E's already on them, RW or WR or something.
Yeah, only the R damage is exactly what W's like the pool was at max rank.
Is that it
previously.
used to is 6%?
So it was 6% at max rank. So that's
Okay.
it's essentially
Now
you
it
took
starts
max
off
rank.
at 6%.
Yeah, but it doesn't go up. It
Yeah,
goes
what
up by
does scale
It's a
per
scale.
level?
Yeah.
I don't see what scales with each point in R.
I assume just
Cooldown, mana.
cooldown. Yeah, I
It's
guess.
got to be cooldown.
It's got to be whatever it used to scale. But was the ratio the same on the W as it now is on the
Oh
R?
my god. I don't know.
No, they would have it
I'll
on
look
here
quick.
that everything else scales because the rest of them
it's a
they
higher
have damage
higher
lowered.
ratio.
Okay.
It was 1.0 or 1% per 100 AP.
So do you
No.
think he becomes a mid mage, or do you think he's like an AD jungler or AP jungler, or some sort of weird like
He's
I
got to
go
be
AP
jungler.
I go AP
I think-
into tank or something like that, just for like zone control and having a shit ton of minions out to block skill shots and whatnot. I don't know.
I think he absolutely brutalizes melee top laners. Like I think
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's going to be able to just
Crush
dumpster
them.
them.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's what he's going to be able to do.
I do think I liked your idea with the tank. I think there was a world where a tank Malzahar was a possibility, but they nerfed the base damage on all of his abilities, so that might have died.
But they also
that.
reduced the cooldown and like buffed up a bunch of like
So-
ability to scale with almost anything.
Voidlings? This is an honest question. 'Cause I don't know. Did Voidlings proc like Black Cleaver and stuff, or did your auto attacks only proc Black Cleaver? Did they get armor penetration from
They
any
got
of your
armor
abilities?
pen from you, but I don't think they got the Black Cleaver stacks.
They didn't get the on hit stuff.
No, they didn't get any on hit stuff, but they got your armor pen and they got your attack damage.
That'd be scary.
So now
All them
I
stacking
assume
Black
they still,
Cleaver, right?
I assume they still get your armor pen, because they doesn't say that there's a change on that, but now it's kind of specific. Like the 80 scaling on them used to be kind of hidden. It wasn't really in the game. People extracted it from just testing it out, but now it's in the game and they tell you it. And if you happen to get like an AP and AD item,
Is
that-
there a
that scales
world
both.
where we have like a Sterix,
AD Juggernaut Mouse.
like 80 Juggernaut mouse with what's the other item? Death Dance, like Sterix, Death Dance, and then maybe some defensive items like a Warmugs or.
it's kind of what I was thinking. Or I was thinking like you maybe even take like an Evelyn page for him out of the jungle with the flat AD.
I don't think he does
lance
enough damage then.
and then AP cleanse.
It's not about him doing damage. It's about buffing all his Voidlings. His
Voidlings.
and
I
rage
understand that. but I still think that he doesn't do
Would you
enough
still need
damage.
to find
Could you-
cooldown reduction somewhere from Word Voidlands, you think?
Death Stance has CDR.
Definitely.
Yeah, but how much?
10%, which is
I don't know if
not
you would
bad for
heal off-
75 80.
But you could easily.
I mean,
all you would really
even
need
still-
is 25% CDR.
You could still end up going like Lucidity boots too if you wanted to throw in some extra CDR. Like you can find that CDR in other
CDR
places.
per level.
Yeah, that's another fix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, man,
I was
I'm
thinking
convinced. I want
something.
to try that.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a runic echoes into like tanky AP build out of the jungle, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, no Cinder Hulk. I would think Runic Echoes. I think
Yeah, runic.
I could really see like a top lane Sterix, not Sterix, but you know what I'm saying, Death Dance. Yeah, Sterix, Malzahar with like CDR boots or something.
So this is Graves. This is the
Yeah.
Graves update of the mid-season.
It's Graves, but instead of getting close and shotgunning people in the face, you just get far enough away, slap down a couple abilities, and let your Voidlings kill them if they try and all in you and fail.
I like it. I
mean,
want to try this now. I want to go to the PBE and try that build.
There's a lot of testing that needs to be done to see what he's good
So
with.
so that super strong passive we talked about, that scales with level. So when he's level 18, it goes down to 6 seconds.
Yes, that's why he might even be better against these bursty top laners that you'd think might be able to deal with him, and then it mitigates a lot of damage.
Yeah, but you get it up between every single wave and then some.
So we do like a hybrid thing, right? We do Sterix Dance and then into Zonia's Hourglass. So you just wait for your cooldowns and stuff to come back up.
With the cheaper Zonias,
I was thinking more of like the tanky AP top laners we've been having, like.
So tanky
Lunatic
top
or-
lane at least with Chira Jaden.
Yeah. Or
I can't believe that worked.
Iceborne Gauntlet and shit like that. I don't know.
All right,
It'll be interesting. It's
Let's
hard
talk
to
about
kinda,
Zyra.
Holy shit, let's talk about Zyra.
Oh
All
my
right,
God,
so
that show was fun.
that was great, but Jesus, that's
We had
the
a
biggest.
plant
That's the
off.
biggest one, guys. By far the biggest one, but we also have the second biggest one here. So Zyra changed a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay, so all of the indicators are very different now. So her Q, I'll get to the passive because that also changed significantly. But her Q kind of looks like a Nivea wall now. And in the same way that a Nivea wall works, where I think it has to be perpendicular to
your
you,
body. Yep.
to where the direction you're casting it. It does that now. It fires a rectangle, same kind of idea. It waits a second, burst, comes out of the ground.
Yeah. It's almost like the same spell that it was, but instead of a circle, it's now that Anivia wall that he was just talking about.
It's a pretty
body.
It's a much bigger area too. Like
Yes.
it's probably about overall double the total area covered. His E or her E is still the same. I don't believe anything really changed with. Actually, yeah, nothing changed with that except the.
It seems a little
changes to-
faster as someone who used
It
to play
doesn't
old
say
Zyra.
it is. It doesn't
Yeah.
say it is.
The animation looked different to me, and it felt faster. I don't know.
It might have. But the change to both of them, because they are the plant spawning abilities, is that in a pretty much like a square range of it, like the area squared of the Q or the E, is now the spawn range of your seeds. It's not just where you hit it. You can also, like, if you can look up these indicators because it'll make way more sense. But it is more than double the range of where the Q will hit anything for damage is the area that will spawn seeds that are in that area. It's ridiculous. It's
the width of it's almost the entire width of mid lane.
Yeah, it is. And so, hey, with the mid lane things, Cassio coming up in a second. So her W isn't much different. You still are able to plant seeds. They don't give cooldown reduction anymore, but they increase plant health because plant health is down because she can now spawn a ton more plants. And this is because her passive is kind of like Alawi's now, in that every 8 seconds maybe, you spawn kind of randomly around you. We haven't quite figured out how this worked from us playing a couple rounds with it. Like you spawn seeds. You just spawn seeds in this area.
I don't know if it even says, it just says periodically spawns around Zyra. And direction, we couldn't figure it out. We at first I thought maybe it was where your champion was facing, but it was all over the place. It'd be behind me, it'd be where I just got done walking, it'd be over walls and stuff like that in the jungle and in the lane. So it seemed very, very random. It didn't seem like you could kind of direct it like I know Alawi can.
Well,
but
it's not difficult to direct them with Alawi, so that'd be kind of strange if it did just pop up willy-nilly.
like I was doing
without
wolves
any...
and it popped into the bush across wolves, like over the wall.
That's weird.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
It also says 2 can spawn at the same time. Did you notice that?
They can't. Oh yeah, that was very noticeable. I think it kind of looks like there's a max. Okay, so it spawns 2 at a time until you either can't spawn 2. So like you popped 1, let's say, to make a plant, because these ones are essentially the same as your W ones, except obviously uncontrolled. But you can only have a max of 8 at a time. So you will eventually only spawn 1 if you've used 1, or maybe not be able to spawn any because you still have 8 on the 8 around.
It looks like it starts to overwrite them automatically, though. If you already have 8 out, it'll keep
Well,
passive
I
spawn
think the
them.
timer of it actually makes sense that they would despawn right around then, because I saw them dying and then like once popping up. I'm not sure how exactly that works, but it seems kind of.
Do they
normal.
ever time out?
Yeah, 45 seconds. Seeds spawn around Zyra periodically, becoming faster with level and lasting
lasting
45
45
seconds. Max 8 seeds planted. And so you can use these just the same to deal damage, to spawn things. They can be stepped on. But the ones that you place with your W do give vision in a small area and give vision if they're stepped on, whereas the passive ones do not. So you can't use the passive ones as kind of a Nidalee trap coming up on you. Like if you're in the jungle and they step on one, you don't know that it's gone, I don't believe. Or you might notice that, but you don't get vision of them. But what I think is going to happen, jungle is very possible because of how much you're able to utilize the plant's damage to take, same as Malzahar, take hits, deal damage. What I haven't figured out yet is the combo for it yet, because I think you could probably get, you could use the ranged ones to hit the enemy champion the enemy monsters with your Q and spawn these thorn spitters, and then you could spawn, like, I don't know, place down another seed, throw your E down to hit them, spawning another one, and maybe it trades aggro. There's a lot of messing around I think you could do with this to deal a lot of damage quickly and keep Zyra incredibly healthy.
Yeah, they used to like tank monsters in the jungle very, very, very well, and now they die pretty quickly. So I found myself trying to aggro it myself so that the plants would stay alive longer and do a lot more damage.
I'm looking.
Yeah,
so grasping brutes didn't get changed other than the indicator, right? Damage and everything stays the same with that. It looks like it.
It's just the spawn.
Right, the
radius
spawn
is,
indicator.
The spawn indicator is now, well, it's way bigger now too. Anyways, like the area that it'll spawn plants in is bigger.
It pretty much goes if you're walking up by raptors, that little lane, it's pretty much as wide as the lane of where raptors is at.
Yeah, just for the spawn, not the actual grasping roots, because that would be insane. Same thing I believe happens with Stranglethorn's her ultimate. It says it increases the damage of the plants. It looked like they were frenzying still though when we fought in mid lane. Like Tally and I fought in mid lane, and it looked like they were just going nuts. So I don't know if that's intended. If they didn't, that might be a bug. I honestly don't know.
So you're saying that when you cast your ult, you're actually gonna have plants inside of it from now on? Because
You should have.
Every game up to now, Strangle Thorns was just used as counter engage, and there was no plants down.
Yeah.
So you never
okay.
really got
I mean,
advantage
you were
of-
always supposed to do that, but yeah.
You were
supposed
supposed
to.
to, but I mean, that's not how Zyra was really played.
Yeah, it's weird. It says they attack in a flurry for 150% total damage. That kind of makes sense because they were attacking super fast. But I'm
watching
wording on
right
that's
now.
Really weird.
The
wording is really weird.
It looks like they do actually attack more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It now increases damage to plants and think it with 150%. I almost feel like they're making up for that 150% damage, making them attack more quickly, because there is a noticeable difference in their attack speed if you watch the videos for how Zyra's
Well,
playing.
the thing is,
They
it was
definitely
attack speed previously. It was 50% bonus attack speed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because that text contradicts the box right below it.
Oh, I know.
It does.
I'm just saying from what I watched in the videos.
They definitely still get enraged from what it looked like because you chunked the hell out of me after I'd already killed you just from like having a couple plants down on that R.
So we tried a little bit of a laning phase also. It seems that you're kind of able to use the seeds that she gains for free, kind of like Alawi, except again with less control. We were playing in mid, and you were still able to hit like pretty easily. I think not like somebody can avoid them and kind of bait stuff out, but if they try to step on a plant, you can just hit it really quick with your Q.
Yeah, and there is a small visual difference between the plants that you spawn and the seeds that you spawn and the seeds that are spawned passively. There's a slight difference. The ones that you spawn are a little bit brighter, and I think those are the only ones that give vision when stepped on as well.
They do.
I have to imagine that without the free cooldown reduction from her W, that's going to be harder for her to be played as a support now, and she seems to be more tuned for mid, top, or jungle.
But I mean, that makes sense with the mage updates as it is anyway.
Sure. I don't know for sure. I thought when the riders were first talking about like this in the forums that it was kind of being geared more towards the support. But
they told people to pick. Essentially.
Yeah, they told people to pick, but like before that was after people bitched and said, "Hey, I want my mid lane Zyra back." So I don't know. I don't know which way they ended up going with it. I feel like she still could be both. I went back into a custom game while we were talking, and her E it does seem unchanged. I don't know why I felt like it was faster, but maybe it was just
Because you got caught by it.
I think what it was is even though like your E doesn't go across some of these seeds, if it's anywhere within the greater area around your E, it pops up plants, and maybe I thought that looked like it was going faster because of that, because those are popping up before like it even kind of hits it or it hits it at all. The one cool thing I noticed is like those random seeds that aren't kind of even where you would want them to be. If you queue anywhere near it, they're popping up and kind of creating a zone of control around you. So if you have like 3 or 4 or 5 seeds next to you and you get ganked, I mean, you could place it just even if it doesn't hit them. But that it creates 5 seeds, 5 plants that can hit them and body block skill shots and whatnot.
I was just gonna mention even the bad Zyra players can get their plants up and out now rather than.
You don't have to hit your Qs anymore.
Yeah.
I noticed the same combo existed where you can Q and then W while the Q animation went off, and same thing with the E.
Yeah, there's something else that I is a little bit more hidden. I think that'll help her jungle out significantly is her stat changes, which are very small, but it's her health went up by 20 and her movement speed went up by 15 for free.
So
no other stats.
That's back to what it used to be, I think. Because I remember when she first was released and she was OP in the mid lane, they nerfed. That was the first thing they nerfed. Was her move speed. Yep, I remember that because I loved mid lane Zyra when she first came out back in whenever fucking 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. I feel old, but I remember that specifically being the fucking death knell for mid lane Zyra.
Did we mention that seeds won't spawn if she's in a bush?
Yeah, you can be sneaky, so you're not getting.
But the weird thing was they would spawn in a bush. It felt like if I wasn't in a bush.
Well,
the random. I don't want to know what the random is because I think it's actually technically random. It feels kind of like Bard passive in terms of just how like
AoE
where's this going?
Simulator.
No. I mean the chimes. The chime spawn is kind of what is.
Oh,
I was
that's
thinking
what I
of
meant.
more.
Meant shots.
the difference is later as the game goes, Bond's chimes start spawning away from him rather than next to him. Like they start spawning on the other side of the map and stuff.
Hopefully that doesn't happen with Zyra.
Right.
It really
If
seems
seeds
random.
in
I
top
was walking down from top lane to mid lane through river, and one of them spawned like really far in front of me, and then like right by the Baron pit, and then as I was passing it, another one spawned behind me.
Oh, I'm sure they are just random where
So
they
it's
pop
just
up.
it seemed really random, yeah.
So
I was
think
trying to find like some sort of pattern so you could manipulate that to your advantage.
Yeah, I think that she'll be good when people figure out like when there's the definitive video on here's how you use the jungle abilities, like how you I don't know, tank stuff, how you there's a lot that you like. I think she's more complicated than Malzahar at up front, but I think we'll end up being as able to bounce around lanes as
Malzahar was brain dead for clearing jungle, and like that was it was so silly having 4 or 5 of those up with one ability level 1. I mean,
What other
I think
champion?
I think
do we
Zyra
wanna
will
talk
be
about?
a mid lane or support. I don't think she's going to be.
Brand is
jungler.
easy. Brand's
Yeah.
quick.
Well, I mean, there's lots of them. There's like Fiddlesticks
I think-
is quick too.
But Brand is the other one that I think might be kind of similar, and I hesitate to make a bold claim on it. But
should
and I was
make a
telling
bold
Tyler this
claim.
earlier. I'm going to. I think that there's a chance if somebody figures out how to do it that Brand could be a jungler.
what?
He's got the AoE now.
So that's the thing. His
Doesn't
passive
he
is
have
the
like
only
really
thing that
low
changed.
base life and armor? I'm gonna look him up right now.
Yeah, I did a clear, kind of. No, I did a clear. Okay, sorry. A clear was I needed level 2, but I didn't have a leash, so I had to go back after my first camp. So we're not super big
steps.
on that.
He's
But
got 21
I think-
armor and 500
So not a
life.
jungler. What Cyril just said is not a jungler.
So
'cause-
what I'm saying is, I think there's a chance because if you get level 2 quickly with a bit of health, you can possibly pull off your passive, which is the new passive changed to, it still stacks. Blaze. Oh, sorry, Blaze now stacks, which is not normally what it was. But it instead of dealing 8% of max health over 4 seconds, it's 2% per stack over 4 seconds, with 3 stacks being max. But the new thing is that when Blaze reaches max stacks on a champion or large monster, which is what I saw, and I was like, hey, that could be interesting. The Blaze becomes unstable. It detonates 2 seconds later, dealing 12 plus 0.5 per level, so it goes up with level on percentage of each nearby enemy's maximum health and magic damage. So it's not taking blue buff's magic or max health and dealing that damage to its minions, but the minions will take 12% if they're nearby. Also, if you kill that target while that detonation was waiting to happen, it will still happen. I did see that. I don't know how I managed to get that in my one clear, but it does happen.
I don't know, man. I'm looking over his damage numbers. He had some pretty significant damage reduction here. In lane, like if we're looking at lane
all across
with
the
this,
board.
all across the board, he had some significant damage reduction. Now he does more AoE damage with his passive if he can get it stacked up, but the amount of burst damage he can do to a single target or even two targets is lower than what he previously could do.
It looks like the level 1s are all the same, though. All the damage from all the level 1 spells, except for his ult.
Right. I mean, W stays the same. Q, like level 2 loses 10 damage, level 3 loses 20 damage, level 4 loses 30 damage, and level 5 loses 40 damage.
Yeah, but you were never maxing that.
Sure, that's Seer. And Conflagration damage, same thing. That's 15.
But W was your main. W was the main damage.
30? You lose 30 damage at level 3? Holy crap! You lose a lot of damage.
60
with
damage for max E.
Yeah. But the cooldown.
You're also dropping cooldown. Cooldowns have been dropped so that it's possible to get that passive off more.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks like
that's fine, but
it looks like they're playing with juggling your passive a lot more importance for getting damage off, because that seems like it does a lot more damage than it used to. So they had to take the damage off something.
Without a range increase, it's really hard for him to get in and do that. Like you have to hit the W into a Q to get anybody stunned, or an EQW.
You know who it's easy to hit that combo on? Jungle monsters.
I'm just saying. I think this is. I'm not saying this is an overall.
You can't argue with that logic.
Right. I'm not saying this is like an overall complete nerf to him. What this does, I mean, it was hard to play Brand previously, and when you start lowering damage like this and make it reliant on his passive to do AoE damage, you significantly lower the how easy the champion is to play.
Oh, he's definitely harder, and I think that they were dealing a little bit with the, I don't want to call it brain dead, but the amount of support brands that would just run up full combo you, and then you're like, how did I die already? He's only level 3 in lane, and people are getting angry at that.
I think he plays the same way, but it's just that, like you were saying, the single target damage is a lot lower. But I think his team fight damage could be a lot higher. It's hard to measure.
Against tanks, 12%.
Yeah, it's hard to measure since there's no
HP
flat
burst.
damage in his passive. It's all percentage damage, so it's kind of hard to put a number on that.
So there's also a couple other changes. The important ones are the stun duration on his Q went down by half a second, which does suck. But his ultimate changed a little bit. So there were some issues originally with how Pyroclasm targeted the next thing it was bouncing to. The AP ratio also went down on a lot of stuff too. Jesus,
It halved.
That's a huge.
It had to. But so the Blaze bonus. So it used to be that like it would target champions that were a Blaze, or it would try to. Now, if it bounces to a champion that is a Blaze, it slows the target briefly by 30 to 60%, basically 30, 45, 60 as you rank it. And this is kind of a cool one, I think. It prioritizes stacking Blaze on champions, and it prioritizes even more stacking Blaze to max on champions. So if it can bounce to one that'll put that third stack on somebody, it'll go to that first before it, unless it was instead of going to like a 0 or 1 stack champion already. So
to note that it's gonna be harder to separate with that slow on now. So if it is bounced between two people and you're trying to separate, it's gonna take you longer.
I'm not sold on this new brand at all. I actually feel like he's significantly weaker unless you can.
Maybe he becomes a tank melter.
You have to make it out of laning phase, though. That becomes a problem. You have to make it through laning phase, which when you lower damage like that, it's harder to burst waves down and roam or burst.
Especially against champions that already could 100 to 0 you otherwise.
Exactly.
I think it looks bad on paper, but I mean his passive is really scary. I mean if you see a video of him doing damage to an area, I mean the whole wave melts. The champions that he's targeting melts.
I think that he's going to change a little bit from like everyone's. I think everyone's considering him as he was a burst mage. Like he was supposed to burst down a single target and kind of hit some people along the way too. But I think with all these AP ratios going down, the damage going down, I think that he's going to end up hitting a role that's more like a Rylai's kind of. I know you might already build Rylai's on Braid before, but something that's going to be able to get a lot of passive stacks off and survive fights longer. So CDR health, kind of a bit of AP, but focusing more on getting passives, staying alive, and the CC you can kind of put out with your Q. So I think it's going to be a more consistent DPS mage instead of the bursty mage he was kind of known for a long time. And maybe a jungler.
Yeah, the passive's the only thing that... I mean, obviously they made it so it made up for all the damage, because 12% of each nearby enemy's maximum health is a lot of health, for no matter who it is. So,
and it's not a huge range. It's also like... I don't know, maybe like a zillion time bomb kind of explosion radius.
It's a pretty big range.
About what it was. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit a single combo of your 3 skills, you're hitting that max stacks too. So I mean,
and does the explosion also put a stack of blaze on its targets?
Not that I saw.
So you get a chain reaction type thing going.
I don't believe so. Okay. I only use this against monsters.
The champion cannot stack blaze again within 4 seconds, so it probably finishes those ticks, but it doesn't. You can't.
Well, it means like if you hit the tank and it explodes, does it start a stack of blaze on the nearby enemy champions, not the one that you exploded? And that's, I want to say, what does it say? It's spells, so I think no. I want to say
spells. No. I think that counts though.
That's
because your passive used to proc Rylai's, and that proc spell effects.
That's tough to say, because like.
Let me see if I can tell in this video.
Well, wait.
Stand by while I watch this for 3 minutes.
All right, guys, skip ahead to 38 minutes into the pod. We're way past that. Holy crap! We're 56 minutes long.
Right. Well, we still have time to talk
3
about
champions down, right?
We could do Cassio, or we could do a smaller one. Cassio's kind of big.
Cassio's big. We can save her again for the next time. I almost
do Vygar. Vygar's really quick.
I mean, we don't really have to do like super quick. We did talk 10 minutes about PAX East before the show happened, so we can talk about Cassiopeia.
Okay. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, go.
All right. As soon
I
as
lost my position.
I was hitting page up and down for a few seconds before that. All right, so there's a bunch of stat changes to Cassio.
Wow, yeah.
Like a ton of them that are just kind of being tweaked around, and I'm not going to go through them except for the kind of important one, which won't sound important initially. Her movement speed dropped to 328 from 335, and that's because
Base
her passive
increased.
is now. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. There's like 9 lines of stats, but the movement speed one is important because her passive changed. This is kind of funny because everyone always said, everyone says, how does X champion buy boots? They don't have feet. Cassio has a tail, obviously. Now she's no longer able to purchase boot items.
Oh, that's
But because
wonderful.
that would be a shitty passive that just says Cassio can't buy boot items, they decided to add Cassio gains 4 movement speed per level.
Right.
So she ends up having 72 from that at rank or at level 18. So she gets 400 move speed, which is actually on the higher end of like a tier 2 boots, even sometimes like a swiftness.
I mean, I know she has a lot in her kit, so I'm probably just nitpicking here, but doesn't that kind of suck for her because she's missing out on cheap cooldown reduction slash like if
But
you,
she also gets another item slot late in the game.
Yes,
that's true. That's a big
Boots
one.
are always
Like,
cost effective, but they're not like slot efficient. For like
Yes.
Yeah.
You're essentially saying you're
That's what I'm
trading
saying, I'm
off the
just
passive
nitpicking.
that built. Yeah, no, trading off the passive that built for having that 6th item slot, which is going to be very interesting. So the other changes, her Q, mana's increased, cooldown down, damage increased. Good God, there's just so much stuff here. AP ratio went up a significant amount. It went up to 0.7 from 0.45. The movement speed bonus increased, but it now decays over the duration. So it went from 20% flat to 30 to 50 as you skill it. But it's still the same ability. E is essentially this. Oh, sorry.
But with that being like 50% sooner, now you can dip in and out if you land your Q. You get like such a big burst of speed right off the bat. You probably are getting farther. If you're good with positioning, you're going to be able to position quicker, better with her. So that means you should be able to get the next Q out since the cooldown's relatively low.
And that's talking about, so imagine 20% of 400 is 80 move speed. Now you're talking if you max Q, that's 200 extra move speed at the first
yeah.
second.
Right,
Holy
just for
fuck.
landing your Q.
So you,
You
kite
get,
like crazy with her.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
And it gets better with the kiting too. Before we get to that though, Twin Fang, her E, not much different. The cooldown is no longer based on if the target is poisoned, so you don't have to have poison targets for that. It's now cooldown is now 0.9 seconds, just straight up. But you do still get a bonus for hitting poison targets because if you hit a target while poisoned, they will take. Okay, sorry, I should have backed up real quick. It now deals a flat amount of damage based on your level, not on the rank of the skill.
Okay.
Additionally, if you kill a target with it, or if it's killed during the flight of Twin Fang, you gain the mana back. You get it actually completely refunded. So you don't gain any damage flat from skilling it, but you gain the damage dealt to poison targets if you skill it. So if you hit a poison target with Twin Fang, it takes 10 to 130 bonus damage, and Cassio
What?
heals for 5 to 25.
It scales from 10 to 130.
Yes.
Yep.
It goes 10, 40, 70, 100, 130.
0.35 AP ratio.
It scales to 130 from 10.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay.
But it has to be a poison target still. So I mean it's
Which
essentially-
isn't hard to do.
Well, it used to be a little harder, but what? We're gonna see more poison comps. Let's go, baby. Cassiopeia, carry me home.
Twitch Singed. Actually, Singed might be really badass. Like
Teemo,
Catalyst AM.
Singed,
Teemo.
Twitch. Let's go.
So,
I wanna run a
Serial,
poison
in your
comp
expert
now.
opinion, is this mage also now a jungler?
So you said the word expert, and that was the most wrong thing in that statement. But the second most wrong thing is that no, it's not going to be a jungler.
So what about
Maybe.
W?
You get a lot of move speed from runic echoes.
You do. Okay, but now, all right. Okay, all mages are now junglers. Next update, all junglers will become supports.
Mages.
Who knows? No, it's got to be really, really weird, cyclical. So her W, this is the biggest change. Miasma, it used to be you spit out a cloud that expands over time. Now it spits out a bunch of clouds in an arc, and there's a minimum cast range, so you can't cast this directly on yourself. But it creates an arc that looks like it's as big as we've been saying, mid lane. So that also the theme of this update is making things as big as mid lane for the mages. Surprise. It deals damage per second, just like before. The slow. This is. Wait, the slow's kind of weird here.
It's now 35% at all ranks.
Well, no. It says so. Enemies in the cloud are continually afflicted by debilitating poison, inflicting a decaying slow. Okay, so I think that's how that works. You get an initial slow that's heavier, that's 40 to 80% as you skill it. But once you get past that initial decay, it's now 35% afterwards.
Grounding them?
And now grounding, which is a new unique thing. So if somebody is in the W, they cannot use movement abilities.
So if
it's
Cassio
like
throws
copy
W
range
down and you're playing Kha'Zix, once you're in that fucking cloud, you are not jumping out of it.
You can't use your E. It's disabled.
Yeah, is it disabled? Have we seen that? Because we were talking about this a bunch at PAX, and I don't know what it does. I'm about to look.
Stops on the first terrain hit, so you can't throw it over walls. It looks like, and I see one of the video spotlights. It looks like the arc that throws it in, like part of it's going to hit the wall, and it kind of stacks around the wall, like makes a curve to the terrain, as if it's hitting the terrain and stopping. So it's kind of like a projectile. I wonder if it gets stopped by like a Yasuo wall.
Even
or
if it doesn't disable it, you're just not getting out. So don't use your abilities when you're standing in the poison.
Oh,
cloud.
you're wondering if it disables you from using it or cancels it out and
I
actually.
mean, it would be absolutely terrible if you.
I
were
think it's
a
gonna
bad
be
player
like, yeah.
and
Well, we were
used
talking, is it like
and
a
then
Poppy
your
W?
abilities on cooldown?
I think it's like a Poppy W and then it prevents movement abilities like that, but I think what it really is going to be like is like a root that just slows you instead. So like, you know how roots, all those skills you can't use, it gives you that sound effect that fuck you can't use this, like you're out of mana, that sound effect. I think it's gonna do that, but I haven't tested it in the game, but that's what it sounds like.
That's
it sounds
what
like
the
it's
wording sounds like.
Yeah,
Prohibits
especially
the
because
use
they're
of
trying to
abilities.
introduce this new thing that's sort of like a root, but it's a slow that just doesn't let you use dashes and whatnot.
Yeah,
But it
Well,
says
good-
movement abilities. I wonder if you can't use flash.
that's the thing is there's that. We were talking like Ezreal's Arcane Shift. We don't know if
I
it's.
guess it's a movement
No,
ability.
you could do because you can.
We don't. I
Can't
don't know
flash
that.
out of roots.
Well, all right, so what about something like Unstoppable Force with Malphite, who once you use that ult, like you're not supposed to be stopped by anything. It's the name of the ability, Unstoppable
Well, I think it's
Force.
once you've started it. If I
Yeah,
don't,
once
I don't
you
think
started it, you're unstoppable. because
Okay,
it
so
doesn't-
let's say you use it while you're in it. You can't even start it.
yeah, you
shouldn't
can't
be
even-
able to even
your-
use that.
your
I think-
cooldown,
yeah.
your R will not be pressable.
Now, will you be able to, like, let's say you're playing Corky with the package. Can you jump over that?
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be able to
It's not a
start
wall.
something.
You can
Is
still
he,
go over
is
it
he
or
unstoppable
into it.
when he starts that?
Well,
the
no,
button?
he's not unstoppable, but I don't know if it considers it like. Do you get grounded once you're in the air moving
Well, Roots-
over it?
No,
or,
because think about
don't
okay. So
usually
the
even
way
do that.
shut up. The way Poppy's passive, for example, or Poppy's W works is that if we're comparing to that, it causes anyone who dashes to be knocked down immediately. Her W doesn't say anyone's getting knocked down; it just prevents it from being used.
Yeah.
So you should be able to jump
move over it or move into it, I guess.
But you probably still
Yeah.
get hit by it, so that you can't use it once you finish your dash. Like you can't use
If
another
you finish
movement
the dash
ability.
in there, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, you could make
Well,
it
I
over,
think
like
even if
with
you pass
W, you
over it,
should
why
be able
not?
to just pass right over and keep going. There's no reason that it would stop you because you're not getting knocked down when
I'm
you're
not
in
saying
there.
it stops you. I'm saying that you get poisoned, right? Because you're passing over a poison area.
You're not getting. You don't touch it though. You're not taking the damage. You'd have to walk
Well,
over
what
top
you-
of it.
It's
I
a
think they're
dash.
only
though.
grounded while
If
you're
you
in it.
jump over a snake, does it hit you?
I mean, that's the thing.
I'm
What
talking
if
not
it
to, all right,
does?
what split ability are we talking? Are we talking about like actual jumps, or are we talking about like dashes?
Everything. It's movement abilities.
It's any movement
All
ability.
right, Tally,
Yeah,
I
but
see
if
what
you-
you're saying.
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
what
If
you're
you
saying.
like, if you were to Shen dash across this and make it all the way
Right.
across, you wouldn't be able
Does
to
it hit
flash
you?
after that because you'd be poisoned,
Right,
and
that-
that would be a
that's-
debilitating type of poison. I think.
yeah, but that's different.
least the-
I think that's different in the fact that you're you're grounded when you do that, and like just on a jump,
technically-
you're in the air. You're not grounded.
But
It depends how
I'm
it's all
not
coded.
sure- I'm
You know,
not
how,
sure,
you know how we
because
do
I
this
think-
instead of
Oh,
arguing
so-
about it is we go on the PBE and we
And we
just
test it.
We just test a whole bunch of these and make a whole fucking video about it, or go
An
look on
easy-
YouTube, which I'm sure it's already out there.
The wording-
An easy way, just go grab Cassiopeia, drop that W, jump in as Tristana with a W, and then try flashing out.
or yeah,
No,
or
it's-
just see if the poison pops on you.
It seems to be unlike her old W, where when you left W, you still had a tick or so of passive.
Yeah.
It looks like you're only taking damage when you're inside this, and only grounded when you were inside
Versus
of
enemies
it.
in
Okay.
the clouds.
Yeah,
There's
take
no
the damage.
lingering
I think
poison
that's-
afterwards.
Yes, I think that's kind of how that works. We'll test that. This is the one thing I did see in the videos. Tally, you are correct. It does stop on the first terrain hit. So if part of what you're going to throw out is going to hit terrain, it'll stop there, but then the rest will arc as
there
you
an echo
had
in
it
here?
casted.
Now that could be nice. It could be nice if somebody's
Shit.
approaching a wall to try and jump over it.
That's true.
Because then
Oh yeah,
you can't really
Yeah.
miss your W at that point. It's gonna stop at the wall.
If
and you
it,
just
if it
deny
stops
them.
flashes, then that's really funny to stop
Yeah.
like those really pinpoint flashes that somebody has to be right at the wall for. That could be pretty cool.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
they made a minimum cast range so that it's not like always a get out of jail free card. But if you use the terrain near you to your like advantage, you can pretty much do that. Like throw it like
And then
there's a
hit your
turret
Q
nearby you.
and move for 200 extra move speed.
You could flash over the wall, and then you could lay the W down, flash over the wall, and they can't follow you.
Ooh,
Man, it's next level tactics there.
I really wish when Riot would introduce new abilities like Grounds, right? Grounds is a new ability, kind of like Death Rattle was a new ability in Hearthstone, that they would give you a legit description of what grounding means.
Exactly what it means that spells it out. They give you like the dictionary description of it.
Yeah. They need to say, this is what ground affects, dot, 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 dot. Like, when they introduce a new ability, they need to come out and say, we're introducing these. This is a new ability that she has. Not just, this is what it does.
To be fair, this isn't exactly them releasing this information yet. This is PBE. This isn't patch notes that they're giving us.
yeah, Pone.
Yeah, but even in patch
Yeah,
notes,
Adam.
they wouldn't give a Wikipedia entry-styled list of what this
They
can
might.
do.
They might. This is
I
this
think
is
it's
a lot
literally
of
just
stuff's hard to also just do. I mean, without having a fucking huge wall of text.
They
like
didn't do it with Poppy.
in the spotlights. They do in the new Poppy spotlight. They didn't.
No,
do
no,
it.
in the spotlight, sure, but not like
Yeah.
a list. Like when Poppy came
because
out, they
that would
listed
just
all
be
their abilities.
just that. It would be a list. No one would read it.
What? I'd read it. There's people. There's thousands.
You're gonna
of-
go over every single ability in the game.
There's at least 20,000 people out there that would read that fucking message.
Well, I think this is a little different in that.
It's not different. We just argued about it for 10 minutes.
Maybe
This
just
isn't
get a
different at
small
all,
sample
Tally.
size of
Yeah.
list. Like if you include Flash, then okay. Well, we know Flash. If you include
I mean, they are
Azure's
like
Arcane
Kira
Shift,
said,
okay.
they're giving a dictionary definition of it. If you want more information, like the Spotlight's going to have some of those scenarios. Otherwise, you're literally going into every case scenario, and I feel like that's.
Cater
You gotta
to
play
me.
the
I don't
game.
watch the champion spotlights. I just want a fucking list. I want a Wikipedia and a goddamn list of what it does. Why do you think I go to the Wikipedia right now and press ability, show details? This is what it'll stop, and it has a fucking giant ass list of it.
Hey guys, League of Legends Wikia has it. Unit this ground is unable to activate mobility spells, i.e.,
It's
all
just what it
dash and
fucking said.
blink
That's rude.
abilities.
That's rude.
Okay.
That's the same as a route.
But you can just
except
walk.
You
can
can
walk around. Yep.
Yeah.
And auto attack.
It's a
Well, you
walkable
can
route.
Okay.
It's exactly what it sounds like. Grounded.
And that's fine, but I want Riot to tell me that. I don't want to have to go to the goddamn Wikipedia to find that out.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Apparently, Black Shield works with it, so that's kind of cool. You can
What,
Black
you can
Shield somebody to let them dash out.
That makes sense. Black
Yeah.
Shield pretty much blocks everything because it's
Yeah.
an OP ability.
Yeah.
What if you do Flash or something?
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to make her like any different. I don't think in terms of lanes. Like we already saw top lane Cassia, so like that's not that crazy of a difference. Like you saw that even in pro play. So
Dude,
I
that
could see
W,
her.
though. Oh, just
I could see her
running
being
down mid
kiting.
lane.
She just adds so much more like kite ability with that the change to Q. The W doesn't really seem like it's that worth it to max unless you think you're going to really keep somebody in there for a long time. So you could probably still pump out a good bit of damage and stay healthy because of your E. Kite now. Again, like it seems kind of like the same, a similar change to how Brand was maybe going to be that consistent DPS, maybe, and staying healthy. Maybe this is the same thing.
Well, she's always been a consistent DPS with her E's.
Yeah, but she can blow up a single target with the just E. You just hold it down and just let it go.
I think they just did a good job of reinforcing her role. Just that mid-range, late game, single target.
6
Now they
items
don't have to buy
now.
boots, goddamn.
Literally 6 items
Yeah.
now.
Machine gun mage. That's what I was
Monster.
thinking of.
That's gonna be scary.
Monster, he said.
And she always her one weakness is she didn't have much mobility besides some of the bonus movement speed, but now she has anti-mobility even more so than she used to with the kind of grounded stuff and a huge AoE in a team fight. I mean,
Yeah.
Why can't a snake wear a boot on its tail? I don't understand.
Because
I
it would
think it'd
look
be very
silly.
effective.
why does
And
why
wouldn't-
does
it wouldn't-
Nivea wear boots? I mean,
It wouldn't help her run faster if
funny,
it was on her
though, that
tail.
they-
A Nivea has
took a
feet.
It's a bird, yeah, it has feet.
A bird has
Nami.
feet.
feet, but it never uses it.
Nami,
Nami,
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, this is bullshit, Riot. We're
I think
we're,
it's funny,
we're making
though,
a
because
call out
I
now.
wonder if it was partially
Outcast.
because of those like well-known comics.
Oh,
I've
it
even
has to
seen,
be.
Like, yeah, it has to be
Absolutely.
like inspired by the community. They do that so much.
They're pretty self-aware, so
Yeah.
and make
Yes.
make it amusing.
All right. Well, that pretty much sums up at least 4 of the champions out of what, 8, 10?
That sums up 20% of what we're have to talk about.
We'll
This-
get to the rest.
Yeah, but we're covered in depth. We're doing some
We're
really
trying.
in-depth
That's what we're
rather
here
than
for.
just-
We're trying
we
to
can
help
do
you
the
move
big
forward.
ones.
And
We
you
can
know
sit
what?
here
If
just-
the patch hits, we're just gonna keep talking about it because there's plenty of fucking room.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. By the way, one other announcement to throw out there because Thalden won't leave me alone about. Now I was gonna announce it anyway. Every Tuesday night, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time, so that's 4 o'clock Pacific time, and then you can do the math for the rest of the times out there. In the NA only, I'm sorry, Europe, that we don't cater to you, but there's just nobody out there that has stepped up and said, I want to do this. We run it's more Thalden runs a ranked night of fives, essentially. He puts 5 of you together, all the same rank, throws you out there and lets you play, queue up his dynamic queue, and work as a team and play ranked fives. If you're looking for like a duo or trio partner, I'm sure he could work with you in that too, because there's still some stragglers and you can find people. The way you do this is, one, go to our T-Force Network subreddit and go find the post. It comes out every Tuesday morning, early, about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Just sign up there. He will message you in Discord. So you need to go to discord.trinityforcenetwork.com or open the Discord app and join us in there. And join I think it's what is it? There's a looking for group channel. Is that right? There's a channel in there. It's all detailed in the post. I don't have my Discord up right now. I'm sorry. But yeah, just go sign up, go read the post, go play ranked 5s, play ranked 3s, play ranked 2s, join the Discord channel, talk with those guys. You really do need to join the Discord chat right now because there's like 150 people in there. There's conversation going all day. The more people to get in there, the more conversation to go, the more people that will be looking for groups. Like essentially the in-game chat room of T-Force is more than less dead thanks to the introduction to clubs, and we can't invite you guys to clubs because there's only a 50 cap. And at this point, it's kind of unfair if I invite Punch into the club and I don't invite Tally into the club, if you know what I mean. Obviously, they're part of the network, but if they were not, it wouldn't be fair to the one or the other. Invite Joe and not invite Chris. So we're just not inviting people to those clubs until they expand the cap to 200 or more. After that, and even 200 wouldn't hold the number of you that fucking listen to the show. So just join our Discord, dude. There's plenty of room. Discord.trinityforcenetwork.com. You can have the app going. You can be in tons of Discords all at once. It's not like TeamSpeak where you can only be in one TeamSpeak server at a time. You can have all of your Discords.
For Discord. You can just
and you should though. I mean, you should.
I just for those that want to like just give it to their friends to have come join them like on the fly. They don't have to sit there and install anything. That web app works real well. The desktop app is amazing, but the web app works real well on the fly too if you need it.
I use the web app at work to chat with people because it just opens in the browser and there's a button that says disconnect, and you don't even have to sit in the AFK room. You just press disconnect and it'll take you right out of the chat.
And then you just chat and you just text chat instead.
Right. So discord.trinityforcenetwork.com. You can go find that trinityforcenetwork.com. Links for all that stuff is in the upper right hand corner. As always, Patreon, all that, guys. That's an hour and 20 minutes of the preseason update. Thank you so much. Please go check out our PAX coverage.
We love you. Bye.
There it is. We love you. Peace.
Later, guys.
What episode is that?